Hey, friends. For those of you who follow the royal family and the Sussex disasters, there's something I've been noticing lately that I kind of wanted to see if y'all are noticing too. Recently, there was a page six exclusive naming a secret source that says Prince Harry isn't loving Meghan Markle's recent post of him and their children. And that got me to wondering about something that I've thought off and on throughout their Megxit aftermath, and that is whether or not Prince Harry has resorted to the royal way that he complains bitterly about all the time, of briefing the press against his own family. In this case, now, the family just being Meghan. I mean, obviously, we know he openly goes to the press against his ex family that he has left behind, but I think with Megan, he is resorting to the briefing thing. He complained about his family doing this in Spare. He talked about his mother and father doing it to each other's in the 80s and 90s. And he claimed that Camilla and William and Kate and his father all do it against him. He takes on this real air of righteous indignation anytime he's questioned about the fact that he himself still goes to the press to this day. He always says that he must to correct laws. One thing I've noted is that oddly, even though you'd think, given the types of complaints that Harry and Meghan have made about the royal family, they'd have a lot to say about the accusations against Andrew, but very rarely do they ever say anything about it at all. The only mention I can even think of is Harry saying that he told Meghan when they were in Canada, "Oh, don't worry, darling. There's no way that they'll take away our security because of Uncle Andrew. They haven't taken his away." Well, then they did. And he was shocked. Personally, I suspect that Harry was close to Andrew and Sarah like Diana was when she was alive. Harry let that slip, in my opinion, a little in Spare by telling us that when Meghan initially met the Queen, he was taking her to Royal Lodge for lunch with Sarah. Only after they were there did they find out that the Queen was dropping by. Then we have the infamous story of Fergie pulling Meghan aside and asking her if she knew how to curtsy. Considering the context of the story, we also have to question further Meghan saying that she didn't know who Andrew was. She was having a meal at his home with him and Sarah based on Harry's words. The Queen decided to show up. So I'm not sure why she thinks she can just play in our face with the truth like that. Friends? Not to mention, like I said in my last video about Meghan Markle, she claims that she was friends with Princess Eugenie before she met Harry, to the point where Eugenie was instrumental in them mating. And you can't tell me she would be friends with someone who has princess in front of their name and not find out who their parents are in order to confer that title. Friends, like it's just ridiculous that we're supposed to believe that. So that aside rant is related to my original topic because my suspicion is that Harry didn't mind Meghan being Fergie-esque until this last year when her Epstein association was revealed to be greater than anyone ever knew and longer lasting than anyone ever knew. And that leads us to this page six article 5 days ago. Let's read this article together, friends, because I'm curious if y'all see the hints here that I'm seeing that this was Harry briefing against his wife. It says, Royal Family exclusive. Prince Harry isn't loving Meghan Markle's recent posts of him and their kids. That video, it was just showing Meghan recorded Harry looking very, very awkward while her and her friend jumped around about the Dodgers winning. That was pretty awkward for Harry because he'd already gotten some heat about this picture wearing the LA Dodgers cap. He's part of the royal family. They're supposed to always represent Commonwealth nations above all others. And we know that Harry has stepped away from his royal role, but he also still tries to cling on to it with both of them do with their whole Sussex is our name. So you'd expect him to be a little more sensitive. He's already even apologized for rooting against a Commonwealth team. So anyway, here's the actual article. Talk about socially awkward. Prince Harry isn't loving Meghan Markle's recent social media post of him and their kids, a source tells page six. In the past week, Markle has posted Instagram videos of Harry and their kids, Prince Archie, 6, and Princess Lilibet, 4, at a pumpkin patch, running through mazes and carving jack-o'-lanterns. She also posted a photo with Harry and the LA Lakers legend Magic Johnson watching Game 4 of the World Series on Dodger Stadium on her Instagram stories. Man, Harry always looks so miserable in these pictures, friends. My God. He's very aware of her parading him around, said our source. He doesn't love the social media displays. We hear the Brit is also not thrilled with Markle tying her latest as ever products to their royal wedding. Her new signature candle, 519, is a nod to their wedding date, May 19th, 2018. A few weeks ago, Markle posted the Instagram reel of her time in Washington, D.C., showing a blue and white bag monogrammed with her Duchess of Sussex title. A source says that Harry is aware that things like that are not a great look and Fergie esque, referencing Sarah Ferguson, the ex wife of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, formerly Prince Andrew, who has a reputation for trading on her formerly royal husband. The shine has worn off, which is fair at this point in a relationship, said the source, but he's also blown up his life for her. Plus, he's used to being universally loved. The source said now it's the exact opposite, actively booed, such as when the couple was shown on the Jumbotron at the Dodgers game. Markle deactivated her Instagram account in 2020, but rejoined Instagram at the beginning of this year, around the launch of the lifestyle brand that she's been trying to get off the ground. So let me know what y'all think in the comments, friends. Does that sound to y'all like Harry is briefing the press against Meghan? It does to me. And another way that Meghan is coming across as Fergie esque, to me, in my opinion, is her voluntary association with Balenciaga. It's unbelievable that after all her humanitarian chatter and current talk about the need to save the children by suppressing social media, she requested to come to a Balenciaga show at Paris Fashion Week. For those who don't know why Balenciaga is bad, November 2022, Balenciaga dropped an ad campaign where they had a child holding a teddy bear bag where the bear was wearing bondage gear and had very strange eyes that there are a lot of theories out. Google at your own risk. But to make matters even worse, some of the shots were in an office setting with papers scattered around, and when zoomed in on, papers literally talked about a court decision that somehow affected the ability of child PORN to be distributed? It was really, really freaky, friends. Celebrities started posting videos of themselves burning their Balenciaga stuff. The current fashion director of Balenciaga at the time was Demna, and he was besties with, get this, Kanye West. And he put out a plea to Kanye to help stop the Demna hate. Demna has a really sketchy history, too, of making some pretty controversial statements about the very thing that this scandal is about. Again, Google at your own risk, friends. It's pretty disturbing stuff. Demna is not the director anymore. They have a new director, but it's the same brand. And this is the brand that Meghan reached out to herself, literally, and asked if she could come be seen at their event. I can't imagine why. I'm sure Harry can't imagine why. I bet the royal family can't imagine why. It's one of the most Fergie esque things she's ever done, in my opinion, because Fergie is now universally known for having lied about how deep and how long her ties to Epstein were. So for Meghan to voluntarily choose to pick up herself and move her body to the Balenciaga show in Paris just to be seen there is just one of the dumbest things I can ever think of, friends. And then she made it worse by filming herself with her feet up in Paris being driven around, which any royal advisor would have told you it does not matter if you're near the tunnel or not. Just do not post a video of yourself being driven around Paris. That's a bad, bad look. You'll be excoriated. But Meghan always thinks that she knows best. More PR staff recently. They leave in no time. There are just way too many reports over the years from former staff that have left really quickly saying that her demands are impossible to meet, to be completely wrong. It's always the same story. She won't accept advice based on realities. She thinks she knows best. And then when it doesn't work and it turns out to be the very reality she was warned about, she melts down and blames everyone else. So the staff leaves, even though it was her ideas that were completely wrong every time. Harry is worse, in my opinion. He has no self awareness without royal minders around to tell him what to be self aware of. He's being laughed at quite a bit for his confusion at his interview with Hassan Minaj. And he only seemed to realize he was talking to a comedian halfway through the interview and then started looking for someone to tell him what was going on. Just like how Ellen made Meghan Markle look absolutely ridiculous by simply asking her to do really ridiculous things and then watching Markle flap around. Hassan asked Harry to do an American accent, and there was something revealing there, I thought. Did anyone else who watched that notice that Harry had a hard time not lisping every time he did an American accent?
I love Applebee's.
Based on that, I'm just guessing and opining that he's probably spent a lot of time mocking and making fun of men with more feminine voices and inflections to the point where he can barely do an accent without slipping into that. He acted like he didn't even know that this was going to be a bit with a comedian and not a serious journalist. And that, in my opinion, could be real confusion because we all know Harry, he just isn't that bright. And almost immediately after they left the royal family, he was fooled by some Russian hoaxsters who pretended to want to do an interview with him about serious stuff. And he rambled on and said a bunch of crazy stuff and was completely humiliated. Like, Harry can't function without royal minders telling him what to do and what not to do. He just makes a fool out of himself over and over. And this isn't a very popular opinion, but it is my opinion. I don't think all of Harry and Meghan's problems are all Meghan Markle. I do suspect that at times Harry has been cruel to her in the beginning. I don't think he has the backbone and self awareness to know how to regulate his own emotions and take responsibility for his own actions. If he does something bad, it has to be someone else's fault. And Meghan is the same way. I think it's a toxic brew, friends. I think his family might have actually been more aware of this and aware of Harry's shortcomings than he is, obviously, and may have known that he didn't have the temperament to be with an actress. Harry admitted in Spare that he watched some scenes from Suits, and seeing her as Rachel Zane and Mike Ross in the sex scene was traumatizing to him. He said it would require electric shock therapy to get it out of his brain. I can't help but wonder if revealing that he lost his virginity in a field as a drunk teenager was a bit of a take that to Megan and trying to put an image in her head that he thought would bother her. I highly doubt she even cared, to be honest, because it doesn't affect her status what Harry did previously. I think Megan decided to leverage Harry's bad behavior that he exhibited towards her as a way to leash him for life emotionally in a way that marriage didn't do and bend him to her will. There was a reported argument between them in their initial, post royal, non royal tour of New York, where Megan reportedly told a little girl who asked who she was that she's a princess. She didn't give her any kind of, I'm Megan Sussex and this title means so much to our little family. She just said, I'm a princess. And by the way, her whole, "Oh, the Sussex name, it means so much to our little family," to me is so gross because there are people who've been living their whole lives, born and raised in the Sussex area. It's a historical place, and she acts like none of that even exists. Not those people, not that history, not that lore. This is their family name. That's all it is. Anyway, the real point is this article points to an argument that was overheard between Harry and Meghan. And considering the amount of effort that seems to have been acted by their PR teams to drown out this news, I have to wonder if it's true. The report was that Harry was overheard telling Meghan, and I'm not sure exactly what the context was, but he was overheard saying that he wanted to give his family some time. And that Meghan replied, "After all they did to me, you're going to side with them?" Now, at first, I wasn't sure about that report, but I believe it now. I think she used Harry's own guilt about his own treatment of her initially in the beginning, treatment that Harry wrote about in Spare, to amplify her complaints about his family in his own mind. Get her out of that cottage into a California mansion. Allow her to take on all the Fergie esque projects that she wants, reality shows, documentaries, merch, to make up for it. And that leaves us with a Harry who wanders around California, a shell of himself, possibly resorting to the one royal way still at his disposal that he can still partake of, and that is having someone call up a newspaper like Page Six or TMZ and have them tell his wife for him that he's not happy with her. What do you all think, friends? Am I right here or am I reaching? Let me know in the comments.